Hi, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm so lucky because I've recorded like three three videos, and I'm hoping that I will be able to edit and post them. Well, anyway, but I had time, and I had quite a few things that I had put in my to talk about list, and voila. So here we are. So this one is about another one that I saw on TikTok. Again, very interesting conversation, which, by the way, as I start this video, I don't even know what the ending is because every time I think about this subject, my brain just goes tweet, 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 and I'm pro, against, pro, against, pro, against. Mixed marriages. So this lady in okay, I'm not against mixed marriages. Marry who you want, fall in love with who you want. That's love. That's whatever. It's nobody can choose who you love, right? So not pro or against that. It's none of my business. I date anybody, so I'm fine. On the other hand, so that was just a disclaimer I had to put because I realized the way I had said it sounds really bad, but you will understand what I meant when I finish it. Now, this lady, Nigerian lady, gave a very long, interesting TikTok. Normally, I hate long TikToks. I just go like, listen, I'm here for a 2-minute thing maximum. I don't want to hear long one. But I listened to this one all the way to the end. And it was, I will see if I can link it to the description because I tried attaching it, but it was just not, it's not working. But anyway, so this lady came in there and gave this very interesting take on marriages. So her main bone of contention was the fact that Nigerian men, when they marry European white women, they treat them better than they treat their fellow Nigerian women when they marry a Nigerian. And then they complain that Nigerian women who come abroad are busy divorcing their husbands and they're not as domesticated as they should have been, and they're not domesticated enough. So her thing was, we have come abroad, it's different. You can't bring the rules where we came from, Africa, where we had family, we had a maid, we had, you can't bring all this and then expect me to work a full shift, sometimes double shift, then come home, take care of the children with zero help from you. And yet, on the other hand, if you marry a European Caucasian woman, you're busy thinking that you can actually do that. And you help her and you're really there for her. And for her, she was really pissed about this. And she gave very real examples. And in my mind, and she was like, yeah, by the time people need to realize that even the Nigerian women are frustrated and they're tired and they're feeling used and abused because of all the way the men treat them. And she has to deal with the family, she has to deal with the children, she has to deal with your nasty attitude. And yeah, so her comment session did not disappoint because there were women on fire telling her the way, yes, preach, add the volume for the ones in the back because they are not, it's just horrible. Every woman there had issues, and I was like, And then the men were like, no, it's not the same, but Nigerian women are behaving badly, their husbands, and they treat the men badly when they get abroad. They all of a sudden start thinking that they realize that they have all these rights and they start acting, I don't know how, which has always been, I might be distracted a bit by this, but I've always wondered something. Men have this thing about, and it's not just Nigerian men, because I've had Kenyan men also say this. They always say that, the problem with these African women, when they come abroad, they realize they have rights and then they start misbehaving. Now, my question has always been, so were you abusing my rights just because I did not know I had rights? Because if you are not abusing my rights to begin with, me finding out that I have those rights does not make a difference. If You were not eating my food. My food was there and I did not know it was there. If you were not eating it or you were not wasting it, it would not bother you when I finally find out the food is there. So I don't understand. I've never understood the logic when men say, I can't marry a woman abroad. I have to go back to Africa to get a wife because when they come here, they start knowing their rights and then they start. And I'm like, yeah, but what's wrong with a woman knowing her rights? Well, don't you want one who already knows her rights? Because even that one you bring from there, she will also come here. She will also learn those rights. Just the same way I learned them, she's also going to learn, unless you're planning to lock her out, lock her in the house. But if you're planning to abuse those rights, at some point she's going to find out that you're abusing her rights. Anyway, enough of that rant. Now back to what we were saying. So the men were busy defending themselves and saying how, no, this is not right. And, women need to continue being humble, carry your African culture when you come here and stuff like that. Of course, they never discussed the fact that they would act differently if it was a different woman. So this woman just thought that, it was just one of those, men just respect white women. African men just respect white women more than they respect us. I have a different take on this. And it comes from an observation that I made when I first came, and then somebody also mentioned it to me, and then generally just things that I have noticed over the years. So, when I came 20 years ago, I remember there was a lady who said, when you see a black man pushing a pram, look inside, the child will be a mixed race child. You will never see an African man in this Geneva pushing a pram and the child in there is his child with a fellow African woman. And I spent a full year. I genuinely spent a full year. Every time I saw an African man, I was peeping. And sad to say, it actually was the case. So, I think in that full year when I kept peeking and looking, it was maybe once or twice that I saw that. But you also can't tell because some children are mixed, but they favor the African side more. So, but it was just so interesting that actually that was true. And I was like, okay. And then the other side was also the fact that when the other thing that someone else also mentioned was the fact that when you separate, so two Africans married, then you separate, they don't even want visitation. They're like, you know what, if you're forcing me to pay child support, that's it. I'll pay the child support. I don't want to see that child. When he grows up, you can give him my address. But then with the mixed race children, in the divorce, they will want to keep those children in their lives and they keep following them and stuff like that. And I think for a very long time, for me, I thought exactly like this woman. I was like, they just treat the European women different than they treat us. And then I hit my 30s, because this was when I was in my 20s. I hit my 30s. And the first thing I realized is men, I'm trying very hard not to be disrespectful. Actually, I don't think it's men. I think it's women also. But I think in women, we are better at hiding it than men. People tend to treat you the way you let them treat you. So if you start a relationship and the relationship you have started it with, you are my king, I will do everything, you just sit there and be there. I have zero conditions for you. I don't want you to cook. I don't want you to clean. I don't want you to help me. I just need you to be there. It's going to be very hard to change those rules. And sometimes we are busy thinking, okay, now we are single, but then once we get married, once we have kids, he's going to see that I'm also working. I also have a kid. So we will be, And I know a few of my Caucasian friends who are dating or are married to black men, they started making cooking tons. But to an extent, we go spend the night at your place. You can't be coming to my place all the time because I don't want to be the one cleaning my bed sheets all the time. You also have to go to your place. But we don't tend to put down these roles. I think we come from a place where if you love somebody and you want to marry that somebody, all the aunties tell you to be submissive, and the aunties will tell you you have to give him exactly what he wants. Whatever he wants, give him. Your job is to be submissive. Don't ask questions. There's all this preaching. There's all this preaching that goes around about what you need to do to keep a man, right? So we are raised differently. We are raised differently from somebody who starts from the beginning going like, listen, this is what I want in a man and this is what I need. Now, the problem comes in where we are raised differently, but the society we're currently living in is not the society that the auntie who's giving you this advice grew up in. So now, when you get the first child, for example, all of a sudden you need help because you're going back to work. You can't afford a full-time nanny. You need sleep. You need sleep. You need to tell this guy who you kind of conditioned that he cannot eat microwave food, that I cannot cook every day. You need to tell this guy that, can you wake up at least once or twice in the night to just help me with feeding the baby or changing the baby or stuff like that. If the baby has colic, can we just make turns so that I can at least get 4 hours of sleep because we are both going to work tomorrow morning. But this is not something that you're going to now bring up, because the minute you bring it up, all of a sudden, now you think you're European, eh? Why are you being this way? Now all of a sudden it becomes a different kind of thing. So maybe, just maybe, it just might be the fact that we were not asking for this from the beginning. So that might be the first reason. The second thing that I think might also be a contributing factor, and I think this is the main reason, I just don't like admitting it, that's why I'm putting it as second. The men who tend to marry or date those European women, unless it's for papers or something like that, they tend to have a different kind of mentality. I feel like it is a very they tend to also be a bit more open-minded. They tend to be a bit more interested in something different. They're just more different, as opposed to a guy who will want to stick to their own. If you meet a guy who says that, I want a woman like my mother because I want a Luo woman who can cook fish and knows how to cook ugali and knows how to cook mto, and basically he wants his mother. That's who he wants to marry. He wants to be able to speak his mother tongue with his wife because that's the most romantic language he knows. He wants to be able to pray to his children and pray for his children in Luo, and he wants to name his children Luo names. So when you get that kind of a man, he is not going to be the kind of man who will marry a non-Luo. You get? I'm giving the example of Luo because I'm Luo. So, but then when you get a man who goes like, you know what? I'm open. Most of the time, that kind of man is also the type of man who would be open to different things. He'll be like, oh, my wife is tired. Let me help her. She needs to sleep. What do you need? They would also be the kind of men who would actually ask that, because I don't even think this is a race thing. I just think men, or other women, we assume that the man is going to figure out that you need help, so we don't ask. But many men that I have asked have told me that, you know what, I can't read your mind. So I don't know which of these two reasons is the reason why those men do that, but I think over the years, and that's why I said at the beginning that I don't know how this video is going to end, because I am still up and about, because I feel like we have a bit of both categories. I feel like we have the men who, them, they were just never asked. It's not that they're bad men, they were just never asked. This woman never put down any rules. Now all of a sudden she wants me to start cleaning the house when she never asked me to clean the house. And I think this can apply to any man. I think this can apply to any man, regardless of race. But on the other hand, we also have men who are just more open-minded. They're more open to trying new things in society. They're more open to traveling. They're more open to doing different things. I wonder what the real... Well, I don't think we can really know, because people are not 100% the same, but you know. Anyway, so that's it for this video. It has gone slightly longer than I expected it to go. I have no idea why, but I think I'm just passionate about this topic. I think for me, things that relate to personal relationships, I'm always like, we can't really put rules on that, because they're a bit on the hard side. Okay? All right, so bye-bye. Have a nice 2024.